For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas. Israeli attacks have resumed in the Gaza Strip after the Israeli government left the peace negotiations in Egypt. For more on the situation, we go to the ground to our correspondent Noor Harazin.
The Strip, killing at least 25 Palestinians since a temporary ceasefire collapsed on Tuesday. The strikes came after claims from Israel that 3 rockets were fired from the coastal enclave towards the Israeli city of Beersheba in southern Israel. However, Hamas has denied responsibility of these 3 rockets, stating that Israel is trying to drag the Gaza Strip into another escalation of violence.
Of course, we, the residents of Gaza, support the resistance. We also believe that everything behind the 3 rockets is a lie, because in the past week, Israel violated the truce through the Palestinian militants kept calm. All day we have been waiting for an announcement of a long-term truce. Then this happened. Israel does not want us to live in peace.
One of the Israeli strikes targeted a Dalu family home located in Sheikh Ridwan neighborhood in central Gaza City, killing the wife and 2-year-old child of Mohammed al-Daif, a Hamas military chief. The Israeli media reported that the IDF were after Mohammed al-Daif, and they considered the casualties as collateral damage.
At 10:30 p.m. we heard a huge explosion. We went out to the street and saw the smoke coming out of the house. It was totally destroyed and the Israeli warplanes targeted it without warning, demolishing the home on its people.
More than 70 Israeli air raids have hit the Gaza Strip since Tuesday morning, and medical officials in Gaza's Shifa hospital have announced a state of emergency. They expect a high number of casualties to continue to arrive at the hospital in the upcoming days. 17 days of indirect negotiations collapsed, bringing Gaza back to the dreadful Israeli protective edge operation. Noor Harazin, Telesur TV, Gaza.
And staying in Gaza, trucks filled with Venezuelan humanitarian aid have arrived in the Strip. The Venezuelan aid effort was nearly hit today by Israeli rockets. An Israeli missile landed 50 meters away from the convoy. After arriving in Egypt on Monday, the 12 tons of much-needed humanitarian aid sent by Venezuela are now being transported into Gaza with the help of the Egyptian government and the International Red Cross. And to Ferguson, Missouri now, where U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder met with residents there Wednesday. He promised a thorough probe into the police shooting that killed unarmed black teenager Michael Brown. Holder's visit came just hours after 50 protesters were arrested in the latest demonstrations since the shooting. 11 days of protests have followed the murder. Protesters continue to demand the removal of the state prosecutor and immediate arrest of the officer involved in the shooting. The turmoil has thrust the St. Louis suburb into the international spotlight as a symbol of often troubled U.S. race relations. Eric Holder is the first ever African American to head the Justice Department. And to Latin America, where the ongoing attempts at a peaceful resolution to the Colombian conflict are making progress. Officials of the FARC guerrilla group and Colombian government announced Wednesday that the peace talks would resume in Cuba. The news came after both groups heard accounts from a delegation of victims of the conflict. The guerrilla movement and the government have welcomed victim participation in the negotiations. And to Argentina, where the government continues its struggle against the so-called vulture fund creditors. A new finance law proposed by President Cristina Fernandez aims to go around U.S. courts. Here's our correspondent in Argentina, Leonel Poletti-Caduti.
Yes, in a televised address to the nation on Tuesday night, Argentina's President Cristina Fernandez announced the project which is called the Local Sovereign Payment of the Argentine Foreign Debt. Now, this project will be sent to the Argentine Congress. If approved by both houses of parliament, it authorises Argentina's economy minister to change from the Bank of New York Mellon, which is the current trusteeship in New York, which takes care of the bondholders' money transferred from Argentina, over to the National Bank trusteeship. Now, this is a decision which comes after the court ruling by Judge Tomas Griesa in July, which did not finalise Argentina's transfer to its bondholders, its creditors of bonds. Argentina, of course, not in default because it did make the payment, and following the payment made, the transfer was not finalised due to this ruling of Judge Tomás Griesa. The swap it's not a swap, it is an invitation for the bondholders to come and receive their funds here in Argentina at the National Bank Trusteeship. Back to you.
Thanks to Leonel. During a visit to Guatemala, Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa criticized the role played by sections of Latin America's media. President Correa accused the Inter-American Press Association of engaging in political activism against several Latin American left-leaning governments. Many of the continent's newspapers are members of the Inter-American Press Association. Correa says the group worked closely with oligarchies that ruled Latin America for generations. Taking a look around the world, the Ukrainian crisis has intensified as government forces attempt to take main rebel strongholds in the eastern part of the country. 34 people have been killed over the last 24 hours in the city of Donetsk, and thousands are fleeing the violence in the city of Lugansk. Fighting has now moved to densely populated residential areas. Russia and Ukraine will meet the 26th of August in Belarus to find a peaceful resolution to the crisis. And to the U.S., where Pentagon officials say that U.S. aircraft conducted 14 airstrikes in the vicinity of Iraq's Mosul Dam on Wednesday. The announcement followed U.S. President Barack Obama's warning that America would not alter its strategy in Iraq. That declaration came despite the beheading of American journalist James Foley by the Islamic State.
The United States of America will continue to do what we must do to protect our people. We will be vigilant and we will be relentless. When people harm Americans anywhere, we do what's necessary to see that justice is done.
To neighboring Syria, a new report by UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights suggests that ISIS forces number nearly 50,000 there. Meanwhile, French President François Hollande admitted Wednesday that France had been arming the Syrian opposition. Experts warn that much of this weaponry may have ended up in the hands of the Islamic State. We end with sports tonight. One of the most famous soccer clubs, Barcelona, lost its appeal Wednesday. The club will remain banned from the transfer market for 18 months. Barcelona was found guilty of breaking rules regarding the signing of players under the age of 18. The club will remain banned from signing players through January of 2016. The ban was originally imposed in April and would have covered the current transfer window, but Barcelona appealed, and during a temporary lifting of the ban, signed several world-class players, including Uruguay forward Luis Suarez. More on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle.